to admit. Normally we talk to Josh Frydenberg, Liberal MP, and Ed Husic, Labour MP, together, but today, for technical reasons, we're talking to them separately. We've talked to Josh, so it must be time to talk to Ed. How are you this morning, Ed?
We just can't sit in the same room together, let's face it.
Yeah, because tensions have been high.
We can't agree on our Spotify list.
Tensions have been very high. Obviously, just for your call on Craig Thompson, the Liberals, the Coalition, would say, why were they not allowed to debate the contents of his speech in the House yesterday? Why did Labor stand in their way?
Well, here's the thing, Paul. They say that every man gets his day in court, but the thing is, Parliament's not a court.
Yeah.
And as much as Craig Thompson has had to listen to a lot of claims being made in Parliament, he had a chance to respond to those claims specifically contained within the Fair Work report. But the thing, and coming to your question, is, and this is why I say it's not a court, not any sooner than Craig Thompson had finished, then the opposition had wanted to, without forewarning, get up and talk about it. They didn't even let the dust settle. They didn't even consider his comments. They wanted to go straight into attack mode. And that's why I think this process has become a joke, because we have courts set up to look at these things, not star chambers.
Of course, it should be recognised that this is not before the court, because he hasn't been charged with anything. So it's not for the court to look into it. He hasn't been charged with anything. So are you saying that no one will look into it?
I'm not saying that at all. Like, at whatever point this matter progresses to, it should go through what we've all set up as a society to ensure that people get a fair hearing on either side of the fence.
One of those things, of course, that we've set up as a society is Parliament, and one of the greatest things he could potentially be guilty of is misleading Parliament, and the Coalition would say they should have had an opportunity to question him because they suspect he is guilty of misleading Parliament.
No, I agree. That is a serious issue, and anyone making a statement like that should be very careful about misleading Parliament. But what you heard yesterday was a spirited defence by him on the issues raised by him, and an outline of sort of set of facts from his perspective that he wanted to put on the record and the impacts that it's had. And I think now you've had two sides told, but all well and good. Like I said, it ain't a star chamber, it's a parliamentary one.
How worried I mean, he is your colleague. You know him well. How worried are you for Craig Thompson?
Personally, I have been concerned because of the stresses and strains, like a lot of our colleagues have definitely been in the same boat as well, concerned about the impact that this has. I mean, I think this is the thing about public life. You know that there's rough and tumble, and you know that you'll get criticised for positions you take and things that happen, but it is something else to watch the pressure ramp up in the way that it has in the case of Craig.
Can I ask you, Ed, if you're concerned for his state of mind? Because it seemed to me, just watching it as an outsider, that he was potentially deluded. I'm sure he believed everything he was saying. It seems like, as you say, he's been under an extraordinary amount of pressure, and he's possibly breaking.
Well, as I was saying before, I mean, I expect as part of life, that particularly parliamentary life, that you are going to cop a few hits on the chin, that it's going to be a case where your positions get challenged, and I understand that. But at the same time too, as much as I have differences with people from different political parties, I always try to work with people until they give you a reason not to. So from my perspective, I don't want to see someone from who was in our party or someone who's within the Parliament under this level of pressure, because I just don't think it's healthy.
I was talking yesterday to a couple of analysts, political analysts, and they suggested that perhaps the Craig Thompson affair was causing a drag on Labor at the moment to the tune of maybe up to 4%. Would you agree with that?
I don't know. I mean, the polls, Paul, you see them, they bounce around, they're up and down like a yo-yo. And you just don't know what factors at any given point in time are going to have an impact. I think I did hear you ask earlier about, is it about time we got on with the business of Parliament? I couldn't agree more. I think we got a lot of work on. I could rattle off at least 5 different things that we're working on that will make a difference in people's lives, but the big focus has been on these type of issues.
But it's hard to know. I mean, it's hard to know who you blame for that, because that is not an advantageous situation for the country to be in. Least of all, someone like me, who's a taxpayer that doesn't want to fund these machinations. But who's responsible for that? It is the opposition's role to do exactly what they're doing now. It's the government's role to sort itself out. And it seems, as a government, you're not capable of sorting yourself out.
Well, in this matter, I accept, look, let me put it this way, I accept that in any democracy it is the role of an opposition to test government policy. I've got no issue with that. It ain't the role of an opposition to be prosecutor in matters like this. They can certainly ask questions by all means, but you've got to be able to work out at what point you've exceeded your mandate, and I think that's where we get to.
Yep, a fair point. Ed, thank you very much for joining us. Ed Husic, Labor MP. You've heard the time signals. It is time now for Ron with the news.